Human beings have always searched for ways to understand love, its sweetness, its pain, and its power to defy fate. From the east to the west, ancient myths have carried whispers of lovers who dared to hope against the impossible. When people gazed at the stars or sang songs by the fire, they told stories that preserved not only memory but also longing. Love, after all, is one of the most fragile things we know, and yet one of the strongest. It can bind hearts across distances, inspire courage in the face of despair, and sometimes break even the strongest souls. Today, we will travel into two ancient myths, the Chinese story of the Cowherd and the Weaver Girl, and the Greek tragedy of Orpheus and Eurydice. One tale promises reunion after endless waiting. The other warns of the finality of loss. Together, they reveal how two cultures, oceans apart, sought to answer the same eternal question: what is love worth? The Cowherd and the Weaver Girl. In the heavens, there lived a goddess named Jinnu, the Weaver Girl. Day after day, she wove clouds of crimson and silver, her delicate hands creating the beauty of the sky. To the outside world, she seemed blessed, immortal, talented, and adored for her craft. Yet inside her heart, she was restless. The endless weaving brought no joy, only loneliness. She longed for a life beyond duty, a life filled with warmth, laughter, and love. Far below on the earth lived a man named Niulang, the Cowherd. His days were humble, guiding his cattle, tending the fields, and returning each evening to an empty home. His only companion was an old ox, once a celestial being, now living among mortals. Sometimes, as he lay under the stars, Niulang wondered, was life only this? Was happiness forever out of reach for someone like him? Fate, mysterious and unstoppable, brought their paths together. When Niulang met Jinnu, it was as if the heavens themselves paused. For her, his kindness was a balm against the cold perfection of the sky. For him, her laughter was like spring water flowing into the desert of his heart. They chose each other, and for a time, lived the life of their dreams. Jinnu put down her loom and wove not clouds, but clothing for her family. Niulang worked the land, his strength lightened by the joy of returning home to his beloved. Together they raised children, and their days were filled with simplicity, yet overflowing with meaning. But joy invites jealousy, and freedom often angers those who enforce order. The Queen Mother of the West discovered that Jinnu had abandoned her heavenly duty. To her, this love was not a blessing, but a crime. With fury, she descended from the skies, seized Jinnu, and tore her from Niulang's arms. Desperate, Niulang placed his children in baskets across the back of his old ox and raced after her. His heart beat with panic. I cannot lose her. Not now. Not ever. But the Queen Mother lifted her golden hairpin, and with a single stroke across the heavens, she carved a river of stars. The Milky Way shimmered into being, endless and unbridgeable. On one side stood Niulang, reaching out with trembling hands. On the other, Jinnu, her tears falling like rain. Their cries echoed through heaven and earth. Yet even in such sorrow, compassion stirred. The magpies of the world, moved by their devotion, spread their wings and formed a bridge of feathers across the sky. And so once a year, on the 7th night of the 7th lunar month, Niulang and Jinnu are reunited, walking across the Magpie Bridge to hold each other once more. Think of their hearts on that night. After a year of longing, a year of silence, they finally meet. Their hands clutch tightly, knowing the bridge will fade, knowing dawn will tear them apart again. Yet they smile through their tears, for even one moment is enough to prove that their love has never died. Generations of Chinese people have looked up at the stars and told this story. The lovers' reunion gave rise to the Qixi festival, sometimes called the Chinese Valentine's Day. But beyond celebration, it carries a quiet truth. Love does not always conquer all at once. Sometimes it endures through patience, through waiting, through hope that survives across impossible distance. Orpheus and Eurydice. Now let us cross into ancient Greece, where the poets sang of Orpheus, the son of a muse and the greatest musician in the world. His lyre was no ordinary instrument. It carried the voice of his soul. With it, he could charm wild animals, bend rivers to stillness, and even soften the hearts of gods. When Orpheus met Eurydice, a woman of rare grace and beauty, his music found its true inspiration. She became the light in every song, the muse he had always been seeking. Their love blossomed quickly, and soon they were married. Their wedding was filled with laughter, dancing, and melodies that made the earth itself rejoice. But joy in Greek myths is often fleeting. Shortly after the wedding, Eurydice wandered into a meadow. A venomous snake struck her ankle, and in moments her life slipped away. The grass swayed gently, the sky remained bright, but for Orpheus, the world collapsed into silence. He tried to play his lyre, but every note broke into sobs. The melodies that once brought joy now carried only grief. He asked himself, "How can I live when she is gone? What meaning is left in music without her?" Unable to accept fate, Orpheus resolved to do the unthinkable. He would descend into the underworld to bring her back. With his lyre in hand, he journeyed into the land of shadows. The underworld was filled with despair, souls wandering endlessly, rivers of sorrow flowing without end. Yet when Orpheus played, everything stopped. The condemned paused in their torment, listening. Even the Furies, spirits of vengeance, lowered their whips, tears glistening on their cheeks. His music reached the throne of Hades and Persephone, rulers of the dead. They listened in silence, moved by his devotion. At last, Hades spoke. Orpheus could take Eurydice back, but only under one condition. She would follow behind him as they walked toward the surface, and he must not look back until both had stepped into the light of the living world. Hope and fear battled within him. He began the climb, each step echoing in the silence. Behind him, he could hear nothing. Was Eurydice truly there, or was this a cruel illusion? The journey stretched endlessly, his mind filled with doubt. What if she stumbles? What if she is not there at all? Near the mouth of the cave, the sunlight glowed faintly. Orpheus felt his heart tremble. He could not bear the silence any longer. Just one glance, he thought. Just to see her face, to be sure. He turned, and in that instant, Eurydice was pulled back, dissolving into the shadows. Her eyes met his for the briefest moment, filled with love, filled with sorrow, before the darkness claimed her forever. Orpheus screamed, reaching out, but it was too late. The gods do not give second chances. For the rest of his life, Orpheus wandered, singing songs of grief that made rivers weep and stones shudder. His music, once full of joy, became the voice of loss eternal. And thus, the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice became one of the greatest tragedies of love, reminding humanity of both the beauty and fragility of devotion. Comparison and conclusion. Now let us place these two stories side by side. Both tell of lovers torn apart. Both reveal the struggle against forces greater than themselves. But the outcomes reflect the values of their cultures. In the Chinese tale, love is challenged by divine authority, yet it endures. Though Niulong and Jinu are separated, they are granted reunion through the Magpie Bridge. Their love becomes a cycle of waiting and reward, sorrow and joy intertwined. It teaches patience, resilience, and the belief that even across distance, love continues. In the Greek tale, love dares to challenge death itself, but a single human weakness, doubt, destroys the chance of reunion. Orpheus is left with nothing but memory, and Eurydice is lost forever. It teaches the inevitability of fate, the fragility of human will, and the tragic beauty of longing that can never be fulfilled. One culture sees love as an enduring bond, tested but sustained by time. The other sees love as a tragic flame, brilliant but doomed to be extinguished. Yet both stories move us, even thousands of years later, because they touch something universal. We all know what it is to hope, to doubt, to lose, and to long. When we look at the stars of the Milky Way, or hear the echo of a sorrowful song, we remember Niulong and Jinu, Orpheus and Eurydice. Their stories remind us that love is fragile, yet eternal in memory. It may not conquer all, but it teaches us what it means to be human, to risk, to endure, and to cherish every moment we hold in our arms.